So I'm just back on the crappy PC. I've removed the cards, I've just unscrewed and shuffled the motherboard across, because obviously every PC you have to take the bloody motherboard out to get the power supply out. And you can see now, here's the screw that was hidden on this stupid bracket. So I'll get that out. And that's the other one there that I did take out, but obviously there was one hidden, so of course a screwdriver's not magnetic, because that would also make life too easy. So I mean, it's a good idea having a bracket, but not when you can't get it out without taking the motherboard out. So I should be able to get that out now, hopefully, or that will slide back and then I should be able to hotch it out. It's a bit daft really, because there's a bracket support under there that's a bent piece of steel from the motherboard tray, so I think I'm just going to throw that in the bin. So this is a semi-modular supply. Apparently these supplies aren't that great. At the time when I bought it, which was a very long time ago, it wasn't a bad spec for the price, and it's nice and weighty, so usually when power supplies are really light, they're pretty much going to be crap. But as I say, I've been having problems with this PC that I need to investigate, and I also think the fan's not very good in it. In fact, looking at that, it's pretty seized, which isn't going to help either way, so I've got to look at that anyway. So we'll have a look, see if there's any exploded capacitors in there. Bloody hell, it's a seal that's not been broken. This is something I've not opened yet. That's a novelty. Well, I'm going to have to come back to this in a moment, because something a little more urgent has come up. I've just switched the camera on and it's just complained about the battery, saying it might be a counterfeit battery because there was a communication error. And it actually is a non-standard, it's not a non-Canon branded battery, but it's been fine. I've used it several times over the past couple of years or so, or longer actually. So no idea why that suddenly decided to get the arse, but I don't really care if it's a Canon battery or not, it works. So it's this usual locking crap you get like with printer cartridges. Anyway, where did we get to? Yeah, I ate the fish and chips. I'd already opened this up, which was a bit of a pain. I had to unscrew the fan from the top cover to actually get this off, because I couldn't lever it out. This fan is absolutely ruined. The noise in the background is the washing machine. It does spin, but it's not very good, and it judders about, so it's definitely had it. Which I kind of knew it wasn't. It was on its way out anyway. I've had a good look round. Can't see anything that looks blown or problematic. Some bits obviously it's a bit difficult to get in at, but there's nothing obvious in here, nothing smells. Obviously the fan needed replacing anyway, so it's perhaps good that this has been pulled out. But I can't see a problem with this. I didn't expect there to be a problem with this. The smell didn't seem to be coming from there. The smell seemed to be coming, it was more centralised around the desk. So I'm not really sure what to make of it. Because I'm running out of things to check. I've checked, even checked things like the graphics card, the other cards inside the PC. I've checked the motherboard, but again the smell didn't seem to be coming directly from there. I had this tower fan in here. I switched that on, and after this noise had happened, this popping sound, and there was no extra smell there. I've got this amplifier, but this is mechanically switched and it was switched off, so I can't see it being anything to do with that. The only other thing was the air doodad thing, whatever it's called. It's not an air conditioner, so it's an air purifier, air filter I call it, because that's all it is. It's a big filter, well, filter in a big box with a fan. Actually that thing does a little bit more than that. I think it ionises the air, and the idea being that dust is then charged or discharged so that it's supposed to fall down to the ground quicker. I think that's what it's supposed to do. I don't know how effective it is. So there's that, but again that's got more of a mechanical clunky switch, so I don't see that being the cause. This little new PC up here, that didn't smell. Again, there's no exploded caps. I've not opened the PSU, but there was no smell. It wasn't on at the time. I've had that on because I've not had everything set up and I just wanted a PC to use temporarily, so I've been using that. Monitor wise, the noise has happened twice. It happened once when I'd got all the old monitors set up, no new monitors, and again after all the old monitors were disconnected and I've got just the new monitors here, so it's not going to be that. There are a couple more extension leads that have got surge protection in that I could check, but again there's no smell, so I'm really running out of options. One thing I didn't check was the network switch that's under there, but that seems to be working. I've not heard any popping sounds. There's no smell. I've got this little one here as well which I took out. Transformers are, well, they're sort of sealed transformer based, not switch mode, so I don't know. So really the only thing left now is the laptop docking station, or power supply. The power supply didn't have any smell. I grabbed that and smelt it. The laptop was admittedly buried under here, under a load of crap, so that's, it's possible it could be that. But I'm sort of running out of options now. The printers, I don't think they were on the first time round. They may have been on the second time round when there was the second plot, but I'm pretty sure the first time they weren't. So I'm kind of running out of options here as to what it could be, which is a bit concerning because, well, I don't really want anything going pop when I'm not here and there being a problem. It's been good to get all this stuff out though. There's just so much crap on the desk. What seems to happen, it's like this lot here. There's a load of Amiga chips, retro PC, I think it's, yeah, DX2 chips. There's a DX4 in there, some little miniature SSDs, I was going to say micro SDs. A little watch thing that I had set up for, it's like a heart rate monitor thing that I was experimenting with, and then that ended up being one of these projects where exactly the thing I was trying to avoid happened, which was that it required too much messing about to use it, which is what I was trying to avoid. And I didn't. Most of this kind of thing is very much, it's app based and you're tied into an app based ecosystem, which I didn't want. I simply wanted really just a data logging system. But yeah, so that's just gathering dust. There's another DX4 in there. I mean, these shouldn't even be in this phone, but they were probably delivered like this. I've just not done anything with them. Pile of RAM, then I need to find a box for them, really. I've got another tray for RAM, but that's chock-a-block with other sticks. So what tends to happen is I'll put stuff, say, on the desk or around the desk area, the intention of I'll sort that out, and then the whole desk just ends up covered with all these I'll do that laters, and none of them get done. So this again, it's another example where you go to try and sort things out and one job leads to another. So these really need putting in some proper little storage containers or cases. And I've got some old data tape cases and a load of proper anti-statics sort of sponge, although it's not really, it's quite a firm sponge that the pins dig into and stick in. And I was going to use those and make a little library of the chips, but again it's time to do it. So dinner number 2. Right, so I've managed to find a fan to replace this one with. I've got a load and I thought they'd be the right size, but they're 120s and these apparently are 140s, so I don't seem to have many of these left that work. I've got some other dead power supplies somewhere I could probably nick one out of, but this, I know this one works because I've used it. The only thing is it's got silly LEDs in it which I don't really want, so I'm going to have to look at disabling them somehow. But this one is absolutely had it. It's vibrating and there's quite a bit of play in the blade, so it's had it. You can actually sort of lubricate the back, but I think this is actually worn, so it's not worth messing about. So what I'm going to do is reuse this connector, so I'm going to have to resolder this here, so basically nick the connector for these wires here. So what I'm going to do is keep this bit of wire in. There's this connector bit here, so chop this and get this about the same sort of length, and reuse the protective plastic here, because this is prevents the heat sinks burning the wire. So I'm going to use that and chop that to fit on here somewhere. So because this place is a mess as well, it's hard to find the tools, which is quite frustrating, but there we go. So I'm going to cut these offset from each other so the heat shrink's got plenty of room to go where it needs to go. So they're going to need chopping about 1.5 inches in there, so I'll just pop that off. I should chop the right one there. I'm going to chop these. That's going to go down to there, so it should be about right. So I'll chop these about the same. Then I'm also going to remove this plastic shroud, so once these are soldered I can push these back through the cable, because there's obviously not going to be enough length to solder them in the cable, in the protective tubing. These little connectors, you can push down these little metal bits and usually pull these wires out. Sometimes a bit fiddly, as is the case with this one. Probably not the best thing to be using to do this. A small flat bladed screwdriver is sometimes better, rather than a knife and stabbing yourself. Oh, this one's proving to be a bit of a pain. Sometimes you have to flatten these bits down quite a bit. There's like a barb here, so I'll probably have to slide the knife in and open that back up before I click it back into place. So what I'm just going to do is mark the positive side with a red marker pen. You don't really need to colour the whole thing in, but there we go. There we go. So that one's out as well. I get a bit of heat shrink. So I'm just going to slide these onto the wire now before I forget. Push them well out of the way so the heat doesn't shrink them down. And strip these ends. And do the same on these bits of wire with the connectors on the end. Twist all that together. Luckily the soldering iron's set up from another disaster I was trying to resolve the other day. So I'm just going to tin these. It's still too warm to be using a soldering iron and doing anything heat related, but apparently we're going to get lots of rain. We're probably just going to get floods now instead of drought. There we go. So I'm just going to tin these as well. An excess of solder here, so I'll get rid of some of that. So then I'm just going to join these by heating them and touching them together. Tom at the right angle and all that thing. In fact, they're a little bit too long now because the insulation's burnt back a bit. Crimp them down to crop them down to a more sensible size. hold that. Same with the other one. I think we're good there. So I've got a proper little heat gun for this kind of thing. I've just managed to find. So I keep saying everything's a shit show. This room here is a shit show as well. It's just everywhere is such a mess. So even doing a simple job like this is a bit of a pain. So luckily I've managed to find it. It's just like a little hot air gun for model and craft type work, that kind of thing. And the battery's going on the camera now. There's a surprise. Well, I've switched back to the little camera. There's probably a battery charge for the big one, but I don't know, it could be downstairs. I'm not messing about. I just want to get on today. There we go, good little tool that. You're not supposed to run them for too long, I think sort of 2 or 3 minutes, something like that at most. I like it because it's hot, but it doesn't get excessively hot. If you use a cigarette lighter, it can make a mess and things burn and get all black. If you use a soldering iron, you end up either touching it and you end up with a mess or solder on it. So sometimes it just pays to buy the proper tool for the job, and they're not expensive. So hopefully now I'll be able to slide these through here. It's maybe a bit tight, but we'll see. What I was going to do is actually push a bit of wire through as a pull cord, but yeah, I forgot, so I didn't. We'll see if we can feed it through, see how it goes. I think it's going to be a bit of a fiddle, but we'll give it a go. Nearly there. There we go. I'm going to open out these little bits on the end of these. I'll figure out which way they're supposed to be. Like a little barb sticking up on that now. Might not show. It's a bit, I've overdone it a bit, so there's a risk of it snapping when it goes back in. Because I've marked this connector, I now know which side to put the red one back into. So the barbed bit goes where the hole is on the connector plastic assembly. So push that in. You heard a bit of a click there as it's gone in and through. Do the other side, actually that's upside down. And again you hear a bit of a click, and that's now nicely locked in place. I've not done bad with my wires, the length. That's worked out quite good. So that should now be able to go back into shape. Just turn the soldering iron off. Now what I want to do is see if I can pop these LEDs out. See if this will. There we go, that levers up and comes out, and then there should be an LED in there. See, the ideal thing would be to disconnect it this end. Now I don't know if I can do that. I might be able to waggle the wires around until it snaps, that's a possibility. Is the LED going to come out? That's the question. And the answer is no. Maybe I could have levered that out. Plastic casing made a not very good noise then. Now these are really rammed into here. I think these are blue, if I remember rightly. to pull it out, but yeah, there we go. I'm sure that'd still work. Let's just see if I can so these wires are quite far into the circuit board where they're joined by the looks of it. Oh no, there we go. So that's a possibility. Just waggle them about and then break off the solder joint to get rid of them. I don't want the LEDs in at all, so yeah, that's the answer then. Just pop all these out and be done with it. Let's see if we can actually pull the LED out with the wires again. There we go. No, just pull off. They are well and truly jammed in there. That works quite well. Effective. Wires out. Do the LED from the lens side first, which is probably going to mark it, but well, that one's gone right deep inside the casing now, so that didn't work. I'm not really fussed about the LEDs, it's not like I haven't got a boatload of them kicking around in drawers, or that they're expensive anymore. I remember when blue LEDs first came out and they used to be like £2 or £3 each. I bet they were more than that, but I certainly remember, I think the Tandy catalogue used to sell them. One LED was something ridiculous. I've got that one out with the lead on. That was classic. There we go. So this has got this crappy plastic shroud thing as well. Trying to remember which way it went. I think it goes this way. Try and recall this now. Yeah, so some fans will have markings on this. It's got the rotation and airflow arrows, so the air goes that way, it rotates this way. So the airflow will be into the PSU towards the PCB, so that's the direction it will go. So this will actually be over here like this, I believe. Okay, so with some off-camera fiddling, because it was getting a bit frustrating, I've retied this and I've tied this to the bottom of there where there's a screw mount, and that should now nicely fit on there and stay out of the way, which it wasn't doing before. So we can plug that back in. That cable is now well protected and all the low voltage stuff is safely out of the way. And there's this shroud, and that needs to go under here, and these little flappy bits go over the top, so when this is screwed onto the casing, that's held in place. The idea of that plastic thing is that the only way for the air to get out the back is it has to go through this bit towards the front. Well, technically you could argue this is the back, but through there and then underneath, so all the components get cooled. That's why they do that sometimes. So I'm going to see if I can get this cover back on. Now I couldn't get this out without unscrewing the fan first. Couldn't get the metal shroud or metal casing off. So let's give this another go. Excuse me. one on the floor, never to be seen again. Right, so I'll try again. Get this, one of these corners of this shroud in first, I think. This silly plastic air guide just makes things even more difficult. Right, so I'm going to try and do this from the sideways on because this is just not working. At least if I can get these two started. A different screwdriver. That's not the right sort. That's a posi and these are Phillips. So that's clamping that clear plastic shroud between the fan and the casing. I think the threads have been cut very well on these fans so far. Hopefully they don't crack. And then we'll do the bottom one as well. And we'll do the other one as well. Yeah, so that plastic just sits there. That's why you've got that tab, it's so it rests against that part of the hub. And the motor, the fan motor. I'll see if I can actually get this casing on while it's like this, because I struggle to get it off without undoing all of that. It looks like it's going to go this time. Just a bit of a squeeze. So I should hopefully be able to get a bite on these. Yeah, that's biting. And these power supplies are quite old now. But I've got a couple of these and some of them have really not been used that much. Oh, I was wondering what all these little bobbly green bits are on the mat. They're off the screwdriver handle. The rubber's disintegrating. It's the grip. They're all, oh, see all them there. That's the problem with all these texturized, rubberized things. They all just deteriorate after a while and then they're no good. I think I've got another one of these, a small stubby one that went the same. I thought it was something coming out of the power supply then. What the hell is that? So that's that, and we've just got just check that's spinning, yeah. Just the screws to hold the casing together next. They are actually posi. I think the bigger screwdriver was a better fit for them. Well, maybe not. I'm wrong again. Yeah. So that's that. I'm going to put that back in the PC now and fire it up, which I need to do because there's some things I need to get on with which I can't at the moment. Now I could have put another PSU in there, but I decided not to do that because if I did that then this would never get fixed. So there we go. Well, back into the room with the crap lighting. Power supply's mounted in. I've actually put it in the right way up this time because I put it in upside down for some reason with a fan at the top, which is definitely not going to help anything. Graphics card's back in, all these cards are screwed in, should be good to go. There is a problem with this PC, it just doesn't run right. I don't know if it's a thermal paste issue or what. I've had this problem with it before. I upgraded the CPU and that seemed to fix all the problems. I didn't upgrade the CPU because of that, I just got a faster one from some other systems I was messing about with. So I don't think it was the CPU itself, the upgrade of the CPU, because it was only a minor upgrade. I think it may have just been more of a physical issue or cooling related issue, and I'm wondering if the same's happened again. But I'm not going to look at that yet. I've got enough to do trying to get all this lot back as it was. Well, we're firing up. Let's see if we've got any airflow at the back of the PSU. I've got nothing. That's not good. I think the hob of the fan is actually catching on the metalwork of the power supply casing, so that's perhaps got squashed in. Nothing's ever straightforward, is it? The autofocus is off as well, just to make it even bigger shit show. And the system's not starting up, it's not posting. Excellent. Still not posting. There was something disconnected, so that's not really a surprise. But could be that actually, because that swappable bay, where that's connected, it seems to hang the system booting if there's a drive in for some reason. Thinking about it. There we go, it's booting now, and the fan's spinning on the PSU. I managed to get a flat blade in there and just pry that down a bit. If I take it out, I could do that all the way around. Obviously I'm going to have to stand it upright and see if it's still okay, because the fan may drop a little bit. As I was saying, the fan may drop a little bit. Well, there we are, we're back in business. I've managed to, well, I have basically had to take the damn thing apart again, and I've managed to bend this metal vent outwards so that it's not touching on the hub on the fan motor. I think probably that fan motor, the hub's a little bit closer to the framework than it is on the other one. Is there anybody else who works in IT or any other kind of technical thing where you do all this sort of stuff for work, and then when it comes to your own stuff you just can't be arsed? So you just end up with a bag of shit like this, a bag of shit PC, or maybe if you're a mechanic you just drive around in a bag of shit car because you can't be asked to fix it, because you spend all day working on this stuff. Quick, quick, get the lid on. Oh, that's shoved back over there, how it should be. It shouldn't be on here, it should be underneath. There should be some proper setup under here with these big towers that are empty. I've not got to that. Again, yeah, because this just gets in the way of the printers when you want to change paper. It's a bit of a pain in the arse. It seems to be working. It's trying to rain. We need some. Come on. I'm also doing a bit of a batch cook again today. I've not really got any lunch food left in the freezer, so I'm trying something a bit different with the stews. So I'm going to try and do the meat for a few hours longer than the veg, and see if when the veg is frozen it doesn't go quite so mushy when it's been defrosted. But we'll see how it goes. Just an experiment. It'll either work or it won't. But yeah, this is how it starts. You see, just random bits of crap starting to collect already. Things that don't belong here at all. This is how it starts. And then you end up with that. Which I've also got to tackle. This was actually where I was working when I was working from home weeks and weeks ago now. I don't know, it could have been, I don't know how long ago it was. Far too long ago. The table's still here with the monitors and everything, so yeah, I need to get this cleared as well. But one step at a time. And there's also the pasta sauce batch mix as well, which I'm doing. Doing a few changes with some of this stuff, but maybe I'll cover that at some other point. First batch of pasta sauces in the freezer. I'm going to do another one now. 7 more. Made a bit of a mess of the cooker this time. I shall keep one of these for lunch tomorrow, because sadly it's back to work tomorrow for me. It's Monday today and I've had Monday off. Well, still on the batch cooking. Done a load of carrots, well, they're peeled. I'm just going to chop the ends and then slice them up. That's for this big first batch of beef stew. There's an onion and a half there ready to be chopped, but that's for the second batch because I've got 2 to do. I'm not sure if I'm going to set that one running overnight because this one will be done in a few hours. I've already put chopped onion in this batch. I usually put these red kidney beans in as well. I'm going to put 2 tins in each batch because I'm trying to make some quite big batches. And there's potatoes to go in, and I also put frozen peas in as well. So I'm also trying to get stuff for the rest of the week. Although today I've done all this pasta and beef stew, I'm not actually having any of that today. I'm going to be having the rest of the salmon that I opened yesterday, because that will need eating up, and I've got some new potatoes that need eating with it. Tomorrow I'll probably have some pork chops because I keep buying these and then I leave them and don't eat them. So I recently split these up, and yeah, they're all nicely organised, and I've been keeping the trays so when I get a next batch I can split them into that. There's a single one here, so I'll probably pair that up with another batch. There's a whole bunch of potatoes here for these batches. I'm not sure if I'm going to use all of these. I might do. I don't always peel them, but some of these I think they're going to need a bit of peeling because the skins are a bit crap. So yeah, we'll split them again, one lot for one batch, the next lot for the next batch. And we're chopped. I had to chuck a bit of potato away because some of it wasn't very good. It's been in the fridge a little while. That one's not very good actually. There's a bit of black in it. Get rid of that one. I've left one over. Can keep that for something else. So I'll chuck half of that in, and that'll be that, I think. Oh, that's that bubbling away now. I've just got to give it a few hours. Probably about another 3 hours should do it. Maybe even just 2. I don't know. I'll check the veg, see how it goes. See what we get. The fridge is emptied out quite a bit as well. So I've got some more mince and some more diced beef for the next batches. I'm not going to do the mince today, I don't think. I'll probably do that tomorrow. Pork chops for dinner tomorrow, defrosting, and probably the next day maybe a bit more. That's the salmon for tonight, and the chopped potatoes and onion for the next batch of beef stew are there. I'll keep them in the fridge for now. I've got some cabbage to eat as well. I buy this for the guinea pig because he likes the more darker green crinkled up leaves than the... You get 2 types of cabbage. This is a Savoy cabbage. You can get these quite a light green as well, but he doesn't like them. He prefers them when they're like this. So I get them for him, but usually I end up with a load left over, so I'm going to have to cook up some cabbage with something at some point. It's amazing just how much stuff you get through when you're doing a batch cook as well. Loads of tomatoes there, and beans, different tomatoes, trays of meat. It's crazy. And a bunch of peelings. It's a shame I've not got a composter set up. I need to do that. I did have a go at it one year, but I didn't do it properly and it was very half-hearted. And as you can see, I've been Aldi shopping again. And I've actually had quite a good score in Aldi because I've got a load of minced, load of diced beef, 30% off, and I needed some more. There was more than this, but I've got to get all this in the freezer, plus I've also got all the batch cooking to freeze in there as well, so I'm going to be careful how much I'm trying to cram in here. My batch cook is finished, but it's still quite hot and it's been switched off for quite a while now. So I think I'm going to start the other one, even though I've already taken on far too much today. I've got this other big pot that I can shove this in out the way for now and hopefully be able to cool it a bit better in there. And I'm going to start the next lot in this. It's like feeding the 10,000 today. Right, it's late Wednesday night now. Well, actually technically it's Thursday. Every night this week's been an extremely late night and it's starting to take its toll. The batch cooking and whatnot's got really out of hand. That's stacked up there, 3 high. There's some more in here which I've just done. These are the stews that I've done. There's 4 more there freezing. I've just got a second load of mince here for the final batch of pasta mix. I just put a shitload of Liam Perrins in and a load of mixed herbs. cook the meat up, then I'll chuck my Aldi sauce in, and then 3 tins of tomatoes. That is not a normal time of day to be cooking for a normal working hour. Oh well. I've just been chatting with my neighbour, and he's just given me this PC case. It's similar to the T20s, I think they are, that I've got, the Dell ones. I had to laugh at this. It didn't surprise me at all, but it still made me laugh. He wanted to keep the product key, so he removed it using an angle grinder. Yeah, the desk area is still not fully sorted yet. I've not done too much more here. I've been doing other stuff, so I need to try and get this finished. I was hoping to be able to crack on with this, but it's not going too well. Yeah, there's just piles of stuff on the floor at the minute, as you can see. It's not going as quick as I wanted it to. It's just time and energy to do it, and there isn't enough. And work's been quite busy this week as well, so yeah, I mean, I fell asleep for a couple of hours when I got home today, which is not really good for the sleep pattern, but I was just done. I was up stupidly late yesterday, so I had to stop. I have at least managed to find all the USB sticks and memory cards for the cameras and everything there, and a couple of the batteries, so that's something. I've had to have a massive sort out because there's just so much recorded footage now. I've had to offload some onto my backup drives, and I've also had to just sort out what I'd got because there was duplicates and all sorts, so it's a right mess, but I'm about there with it now. Who'd have thought it'd have been 2 weeks since the last lot of fish and chips was sat on the desk, and things have devolved back into a bit of a state again. Still not finished sorting things out. Still a mess over here. Stuff on the floor.